database management system, and very good afternoon to one and all who is having a class sessions on DBMS. All right. So, first thing is what actually we are been learning in the last session is we are been learning something called normalization. Yeah, as I told you, this is one of the very important concept you need to know compulsory when you are drive with any kind of databases. All right. So, this normalization is a process to divide your data into multiple things, so that it would be very easy to read, or it is very easy to modify, or it would be any kind of process will be very easy when you are doing this kind of process. And here in normalization we have a different kind of normalizations actually, in which we have a normalization called first normal form, second normal form, third normal form, bicornormal form, fourth normal form, and fifth normal form. So, what is this all normal forms we basically do is, it basically do that for example, whenever you have a data which is not properly got aligned in your applications, right. So, then we can go for the application development with a normalization. So, as I told you yesterday that first normal form. So, what is the basic theory about the first normal form is, the first normal form itself will tell you that any kind of or any attribute of a table or any column of a table should need to contain only single values. Okay. So, I was showing you a couple of example yesterday, all right. So, nothing but for example, if a column which is consist of more than one value, we need to make that column as a new row into that particular table is, right. That is the one of very important thing you need to know is. And second normal form, what is the second normal form basically do is, now whenever you want to apply a second normal, or whenever you want to tell, or whenever you set to be as a second normal form, the first primary thing is the table has to be already in first normal form. Nothing but you have to have a table, and the table has to be compulsory in first normal form. Then if you have a table which is already in first normal form, then we have to apply a few keys on that particular table, then we can make sure that the table we can call it as in second normal form. Now, let me show you the screen one, so that, so I want to show you one example which is already we have discussed yesterday. All right. So, now let me show you one thing again, the same example, so that you will understand it very carefully. And this particular example shows you how you convert this particular application into second normal form. All right. So, now let us see this. This is the table raw data which is not aligned properly, which is something data which is not have a properly. So, now this data, first thing is I want to make them into simple first normal form. Let us observe carefully here. In the first normal form, a table, all right. So, for example, Mr. Johns has given a movie rating for two movies here, nothing but Pirates of Caribbean and Clash of Titans. See that here this two values is aligned in a simple or same column, right. See that Mr. Phil is given a rating for two more movies, and that two more movies is again having a same table, right. But this particular table will not be set to as a same table, or I mean to say will not be set as in a first normal form. How do you do it? For the first normal form, each table cell should need to contain a single value is. So, how does we need to contain is each record needs to be have identified by unique. What it will do is, now Mr. Jones, we have Mr. Jones have a movie rated for two movies. So, that what I want to do is I want to make them as a two different rows here. See that Mr. Jones is given a rating for Pirates of Caribbean, again same Mr. Jones is given a rating for Clash of Titans, and Mr. Phil is given a rating for Forgetting / Marshall, and Mr. Phil again giving that rating for Daddy of Little Girls. All right. So, now this right now I can say anything, just see that if I say that this table is in first normal form, if a table is in first normal form, nothing but every attribute of a table or every column of a table, each cell should have only one value within this. Then I can set, or I can tell that the table which is given right now here is in first normal form. So that's the reason. Please remember guys, how you can call is the table is in first normal form. It is pretty simple. Each table of cell should need to have a single value and followed by each record should be have an identification with unique value. See that here, that is unique value which is identified within this particular table. Am I very clear right now? Right. So, what I want to do is I want to convert this table, first normal form table into second normal form table. Right. To convert the table into a second normal form, you have to remember a few things here. First thing is you need to know what is a key and you need to know what is a primary key. I have already told you this particular thing, right. Now, let me revise that. When we are discussing about constraints concept, I was been discussing about it, right. So, nothing but just see that a key is a value used to identify the record table supposed to be unique, and a key could be either single column or combination of multiple columns. Nothing but it may be sometimes single table or it may be sometime multiple columns. Alright. So, note that the column in a table that is not used identify and record uniquely are called as a primary key, or else nothing but non. I mean to say that, for example, if you say something is non-key columns, right, how do you say that non-key columns are? See that a columns in a table that are not used identify or record uniquely, nothing but there are a few columns in my table and that records which is not used to identify that particular record as uniquely, nothing but let me show you one thing very simple, right. Let us see that, for example, I am just showing you with simple table here, right. For example, this is my table where in this particular table I have a table which is something called, I have a column something call it as a usernames or something say let us see usernames, and usernames sometime can be of same name, right. For example, right, say APSSDC is the first thing, right. So, now you have a table, right, you have a table and this particular table right now what I want to do is I will just do one thing, okay. This is the first record of this table, and let me say that again I will do one thing, APSS, yes, again I will write one more record, that is something call it as again APSSDC. Now, this is a username column, alright. So, now this username column I do not want to identify this particular record as a a unique record. For example, this or the column I can't say that with this particular column I can't able to identify records as a unique records, but if I have some ID column, right. So, this ID columns, if I identify this record, let us say 1, 2, 3 or something like this, nothing but what will happen is a record 1 will be identified uniquely here. So, that then I can call this ID column as a key column, but this username column is not called as a key column. That is what I am trying to explain you in this part. Note that columns in a table that are not used to identify a record uniquely, those columns are called it as non-key columns, nothing but that will not be a proper key value has been assigned to it. Yes, understood. Now, what I was explaining here, that is something called key. Now, let me talk about what is the meaning of primary keys, right. And a primary key column, see that a primary key is a single value used to identify the database records uniquely, nothing but entire database, nothing but if I have this particular column as an ID column and this ID column if I define it is as primary key column. If I define this particular column as primary key column, then the entire records or entire values will be, it is only a single column, nothing but you may have a 10 columns here, you may have a 20 columns in this, you may have a 30 columns in this particular table, in which only one particular column used to identify that record as a unique record. That is the reason it is something call it as primary key column. So, what are the following attributes or following of what is the features of it? What is that? A primary key column can't be a null, its value supposed to be a unique, primary key values can't be changed, right. And the next one is primary key column must be given to whenever the new record is given into this particular table is. Okay. So, that is what you need to understand very carefully here, that for example, whenever you define it, whenever you define this particular properties, and you have to know it. Alright. Please note it down the points which is related to primary key. Now, they in interview they will ask you what is the primary key, right. Primary key is a single column which value is used to identify database records uniquely, and what is the attributes of it? The column supposed to be not null, and second is the value supposed to be unique, and the values which can't be changed any time, and the primary key must be given a new value whenever the new record is inserted. Am I very clear, guys? Alright. Now, let me tell you one thing. For example, when you assume as any database, for example, a database for your applications like for example, a Facebook website, right, a Facebook like website or a Gmail website or some other website. So, what will happen in this particular process is I will tell you very simple thing, that for example, as soon as if any record of your table, alright, for example, I am a new user to a Facebook server. Now, as soon as if I am registering into a Facebook website, what will happen is for me there is a new ID will be assigned. For me there is a new ID will be assigned. Who will assign this ID is, it is pretty simple, a primary key column of a particular table will be assigned a value for me, because I am trying to introducing into my website for the first time, so that your database column will give you that value for you. And the second important thing is, whenever you define any column as a primary key column, whenever you define any column, that too only single, because you have a table which is consist of around 10 columns, 20 columns, 30 columns, 40 columns, doesn't matter, yes, in which only one column can be identified as a primary key column. So, what will happen here? This particular column always supposed to not to have any null values over there. It's supposed to not to contain any null values. And second thing is, every record of that particular table has to be identified unique. Nothing but, even though my username is repeated for another person, even my first name is same as another person, or my second name is same as another person, but still all of my record will be identified uniquely within that particular databases. That is what a very important point you have to remember when you are attending an interview on any DBMSs. Am I very clear, guys? Once it is got clear, we are learn about something called it as composite key. Now, let me see the screen again. Please show the screen again. See that here, what is the mean of composite key, right? I was being explained all these things theoretically previously, right? I just want to show you with an example right now. See that a composite key is a primary key composed of multiple columns that used to be identified uniquely, right? So, I will tell you once again, just see that point. A composite key is a primary key composed of multiple columns used to identify the records as uniquely, right. In our database, there are the two persons, nothing but Robert, Phil, but see that, guys, there are the two persons which have a same name, but that what will happen is the address of those two persons are different. Now, in this case, what I will do is address, I can call it as a composite key, because these two records are identified uniquely with the help of address column here. Yes or no? Names are common here. Here the names are common, but hence you need to name that particular person as well as the address to identify the records as unique records. Yes or no? So, whenever you doing this particular record as an identify record, then you can call it as a composite key. Alright. So, now let me tell you one thing on this. Alright. So, what is the meaning of composite key here? Composite key is a key which you can identify. For example, if there are the two records which have a same, right. For example, my first name is same as another first name. My second name is also same as the another person name, but my mobile number is different from another person mobile number. Yes or no? My email ID is different from another person email ID, because these are the two columns, right, mobile number or else email ID. These two columns are unique columns to make my record as a unique record. Then in this particular way or in this particular situation, I can call a mobile number as well as email ID columns or the composite keys of my table. Same way in my example, whatever I am showing you here is, right, Robert Phil is a two different persons actually, but not the same. So, in this case the username is same, but address is different here. Robert Phil is located in one particular place and second Robert Phil is located in another place. Now, what I want to do is I want to assign or I want to make these two persons has to be identified uniquely in my database. Then I need to choose some of my table column, that is something like you can just see that as my, or for example I can say address column is a composite column of my database table. Yes, understood? So, here what we have discussed right now, we have discussed about key, primary key as well as composite key. With this particular three, we convert our database table into a two tables. With that, we can make that table as to be in second normal form. Now, let me show the screen again now. Alright, now let me move to the second normal form. Alright, for the second normal form, what is the rules we need to apply? So, we need to apply the rule 1. First important thing is it has to be in first normal form first of all, and a single column supposed to be a primary key column, nothing but, for example, a table right now does not have any primary key column. So, make sure that you have to make your column as primary column, so that your there is supposed not to have any duplications, nothing but your duplications will be removed from this, because as a primary key column itself states you that they are supposed to not to have any duplications, nothing but every record will be identified unique. Along with that, a record of a particular table will not be a null, so that you can make that particular column as primary key column, nothing but I want to divide that particular table and I need to make sure that it's supposed to be one primary key column. Now, let me show the screen again once. Alright, it is very clear that we can't move forward to make our simple database in second normal form unless or until we partition them in this particular way. Now, let us see that I am introducing here member ID. Member ID in this particular example, your member ID is an example for a primary key column. Here the primary key column values will be continuous. For example, any other new person is trying to introduce into this location and this will be a fourth record. If another person fifth record, another person fifth, sixth record, another person seventh record, even though names are same, see that first names are same, Jones, Robert Phil and Robert Phil, with both are same, but physical address is different, nothing but here your physical address is composite key and your member ID is a primary key. Yes or no? So, with this primary key of this table 1, I can make the alignment to the second table. See that member ID here a movie rented for Pirates of Caribbean as well as Clash of Titans. Alright, nothing but I need to make this member ID of first table as well as second table. I need to make them relation, nothing but I supposed to make them relation between table 1 and table 2, so that I can get the data from your table 1 as well as table 2 at a time. Yes, again you can divide this particular table into the next level also, table 1 as well as table 2. Understood now? Yes. What are the things you need to apply in the second normal form? Once if I say that table has to be in second normal form, once if I want to say or once if I want to tell that your table is in second normal form, how could I tell you? It's pretty simple, that the first thing is your table supposed to be in first normal form. Alright. So, one means to say that you have to apply the rules of first normal form, and then after that and you have a table and the table supposed to have a single column, that column supposed to be a primary key column. Am I very clear? Nothing but try to introduce a primary key column for your table, then I can say that your table is in second normal form. So that you can divide the data of a tables into 2 partitions or 3 partitions, 4 partitions, then you can get the data from 4 different tables. Yes. Now let me go to the third normal form now. Yes. So now we have divided our first normal form into 2 tables with the help of table 1 as well as table 2. Alright, table 1 contains the members information, table 2 contains the information which is movie rated. All say movie rented. Yes, anything is okay. So we have introduced a new column called it as membership ID, which is the primary key column for the table 1, right. Records can be identified uniquely in table 1 using a membership ID. Very, very important points, guys. Please note it down, this pointers. Please note it down, these 2 tables, just draw these 2 tables and try to write this particular point, because in interview, how do you, directly in HR will ask you directly this question, how would you say that your table is in second normal form? Simple as that. You need to introduce one primary key column. Once you introduce a primary key column of your table into a table, then that particular columns will be identify your records uniquely. Then I can say that your table is in second normal form. Am I very clear? Alright. So now let me go to the next part now. Let me show the screen again. Yes, you have a database primary key followed by foreign key. So how does you have this foreign key? Foreign key in the sense something you need to see this. Alright. In table 2, membership ID is a foreign key. Foreign key in the sense whenever you are making a relation between 2 tables, every column of a particular ID will be matches with another primary key column table. Then the second table column supposed to be call it as a primary a foreign key. So what is this foreign key do is, foreign key itself do that whenever you want to make a relation between table 1 and table 2, table 1 and table 3, all these things comes into a picture whenever you talk about foreign key. So what is the foreign key will do is just make a relation between the table 1 and table 2, because you have already divided the table into multiple partition, right. So is in second normal form. So once you have divided the table into second partition, then we can also divide that things into further, right. Now let me show the screen again. See that what is the foreign key will do is, let's see that very important points here. Foreign key is a reference to the primary key column of another table. It helps to connect your 2 tables, nothing but it is asking, or it is make you to select the data from both tables at a time with the help of primary key. So what it will do is, a foreign key can have a different names from the same. Alright. Some see that, guys, a foreign key can have a different name. Sometimes it have a same name also from its primary key. Nothing but sometimes you see in this example, membership ID is same. Alright. Sometimes it can't be, sometimes it can't be. Alright. And second important point, what is trying to tell you is, alright, it ensures rows in one table have a corresponding rows in another table. Mean to say that it has to be have a rows which has to in first table can be identified in second table. Okay. So that's the reason here I am trying to connect that second table with the first table with the help of membership ID here. Okay. Next thing is, unlike primary key, they don't have to be unique. Nothing but primary key basically unique, but this foreign key is not have a unique values. It most often same something, sometime yes, sometime no. Simple as that. Okay. Foreign key values can be null even though the primary key cannot have null values. Yes, right. So what it will do is, okay, just tell you in simple words, right. So, first point is related to foreign key. Foreign key is used to make a reference to another tables, alright. Mean to say where it is supposed to refer, it can be referred to a primary key of another table. For example, table 1 have a primary key, alright. Table 2 have foreign key. Now, what this foreign key do is, foreign key will refer to the table 1 primary key as, right. So, in this point, the first point you need to remember is, your foreign key column name, is not or sometimes same, right. Sometimes it is same as the primary key name, sometimes it is not the same as your primary key name. And second important point on this particular thing is, for example, unlike your primary key, sometimes you have already have a unique values, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is something I can say as a primary key column, right. So, as I told you that there is supposed to not to have any duplications there, and they are supposed not to have any null values there, but it is not mandatory to have a foreign key. Foreign key can have a null values also, as well as foreign key values can be duplicate also. Am I very clear, guys? So, these are the few points which you have to remember on a foreign key terms, right. So, please note it down the points which is displaying on your screen right now. This few points please list out. The first point is foreign key reference to a primary key of another table, and it helps you to connect to another table, right. A foreign key can have a same name or else different name from its a primary key. It ensures rows in one table have a corresponding rows in another table. Unlike primary key, they do not have any unique values, mostly sometime not, sometime yes, alright. So, foreign key can be an even null through a primary key cannot. Yes, these are the point which you have to remember on a foreign key, nothing but you have learned a few things right now. So, you have learned about what is key, you have learned what is non-key, and you have learned what is primary key, and the next one is what is you have learned composite key, and followed by you have learned about right now foreign keys. With the help of foreign key, we can again divide our table into next partitions. Now, let me see how to show that. Alright. So, here you have a table, right. Here this membership ID is what? Foreign key, nothing but this foreign key is refers to primary key of your first table. This is your primary key, right. Now, let us observe carefully here. You have a table 1, yes, you have a table 1, this is your table 1 and this is your table 2. Here this membership ID is a primary key column, and here this membership ID is a foreign key column. So, what happened with this part here? Foreign key is referred of your primary key. Foreign key can have the values which is presented in primary key. See that whatever the values which is presented here, same values also here, right. Nothing but a membership ID 1, it is Mr. Jones. Here Mr. Jones, right. Here the two movies he is rented. What is the rented movie? 1, Pirates of Caribbean and Clash of Titans, alright. Number 2, Mr. Robert Phil. Robert Phil has got the two movies has been rented, Forgetting Sarah Marshall and Daddy's Little Girls. And Mr. number 3, Mr. again Robert Phil, it is again address is different, but he is rented for Clash of Titans, alright. Understood now? Nothing but the values which is presented in this membership ID only will be presented here most of the time. So, most of the time your foreign key values can be nulls also. Yes. Now what I want to do is, I want to convert this into a third normal form. How do I do it? Okay. Insert a record in table 2, whereas membership ID is 101. Yes or no? For example, we can go for a second table, right. In the membership ID, try to insert some value, something like 101, and movie rented can be some Mission Impossible, right. So, in this, but this membership ID 101 is not presented in table 1, yes or no? Is it presented here? So that what will happen is your databases will throws an error. This help you to repeatedly integrate it, nothing but it is something called referential integration, Alright. So, do one thing, I will tell you in very simple example. What is the need of this foreign case? Okay. For example, as we have defined a foreign key in the second table, right? You have a membership ID column as well as movie rented. In second table, try to go for inserting a new record, nothing but try to introduce a new record into this particular table and try to insert a record, the membership ID supposed to not to present in the first table. Yes or no? Am I very clear? That value, for example, you have a number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, something like that. But insert a record something like 90, record number 90 or record number 100 or record number 101. Try to insert that record into the second table. Insert the record into second table. When you insert the record into second table, it will not be any effect, because as the record is inserted into a second table, it does not have any relation between a first table. So, but when you executing that query and the record 101 is not presented in table 1, your database will throws you an error. What is that error? It is something called it as a referential integrity. So, nothing but there is, we have talked about something called referential integrity. Just see the screen once again, right? Your database will throws an error and the error will be in something called it as referential integrity. Okay. So, now we need to make them as a functional dependencies, nothing but I do want to convert this into a third normal form. So, what is the third normal form do is, first thing is, you supposed to in second normal form first of all has no transitive functional dependencies, nothing but they are supposed to not to have any functional dependencies. See that a transitive functional dependency is when changing a key to non-key column might cause of any other non-key columns to change. Yes, consider table 1, changing a non-key column to full name may changes to the salutation, nothing but here full name, here salutation, yes or no, nothing but I can write it as change the name with the help of, you can write this salutation, nothing but Mr. John. So, may change the salutation, right, depends on your persons, right, sometime Mr., sometime Mrs., sometimes something something, alright. So, now make that particular second normal form into third normal form. How does do can do is? Nothing but I do divide this table 1, 2, 3, person's name same, here salutation ID, nothing but I am trying to introducing new ID, nothing but for this salutation ID I do need to create one more column here. Said what is that? Salutation, nothing but there 1, 2, 3 and 4, in this whatever the salutations which is present here, I will put everything here, right. So, all the salutations I will call whenever a person is registered here, nothing but 2, Mr. Jones, right, see that Miss Jones, alright. Second one, for example, Fern, right, nothing but Mr. Robert Swill, and the next one is again 1, nothing but it is again Mr. Robert Swill, nothing but there is no functional dependency has been exist on this table. So, that I can call my table is in third normal form. Yes. Now, let me tell you what is the third normal form will do is. Third normal form will tell you that supposed to be your table has to be in second normal form first of all. Once the table is in second normal form, make sure that you have to convert into third normal form. Whenever you want to convert into third normal form, they are supposed to have no transitive functional dependencies supposed to exist on that. If you do not have that, then you can call it as third normal form, right. I mean directly they will ask you in an interview, what is the meaning of third normal form? Third normal form, first it has to be in second normal form, and second important point is they are supposed to not to have any transitive functional dependencies. If you have a functional dependencies, so I can't able to call that particular table is in third normal, nothing but we have divided our data into 3 different tables, yes or no. So, when we are divided the data into 3 tables, it is very easy for me whenever it is accessed. Am I very clear, guys? Right. Now, let me go for the one more normal form, that is something called bicode normal form, right. The next normal form is what? Bicode normal form. What is this bicode normal form? Even when a database is in third normal form, still there would be some anonymous is resulted. Then it have more than one candidate key, nothing but again you have to divide your third normal form. For example, like a salutation ID, alright. So, you have this one. Let me imagine there is one more column which is about your composite column, right. In that way, if you are trying to have in third normal form, divide the third normal form again into one more table, alright. So, for example, let us see mobile numbers. There are the different mobile numbers, like mobile numbers related to India, alright, United States of America, Europe, Australia and all, right. So, every mobile number ID, instead of mobile number country ID, right, I will directly write country ID and followed by mobile number, nothing but I do have one more table, right, yes or no. For example, locality, for example, locality somewhere from Andhra Pradesh or Telangana or something, right. So, every location I will give a location ID, then again my table will be divided into next partitions. Then how much you can divide into the next levels, which is does not have a composite case, then I can call it as the table is in third biconormal form, alright. So, third normal form is mostly similar to biconormal form if there is no more partitions or exist. If there are partitions or exist, convert that partitions, then you can call it as biconormal form, alright. So, that is the biconormal form, and let goes to the last one, that is fourth normal form. Yes, right. If no database table instance to contain one or more depends on the multi-value data describing related T, then the table is, I mean here if you just see that if there is no database table instance contains one or more dependent and multi-valued data describing a relevant entity, then it is supposed to be in fourth normal form. And this fourth normal form, our table is in fifth normal form, is only if it is in fourth normal form and it cannot be decomposed with any other with loss of values. Okay, alright. So, these are the some higher level things, but just remember this fourth normal form and fifth normal form, alright. So, this fourth normal form, what is trying to tell you here in fourth normal form is, if no database table instance contains two or more dependent and multi-value describing the relevant to one entity, nothing but it is supposed to be relevant to one entity, then I can call it as fourth normal form. And the fourth normal form again it is in fifth normal form, it is supposed to not to have any decomposed values and they are supposed to not to have any values supposed to be exist, alright. So, please try to remember at least up to fifth normal form, it is enough for you, alright. So, enough if you know about at least first normal form, second normal form, third normal form, biconormal form. If you know about these four normal forms, then it is very easy to you to remember to work it with the databases, alright. So, from tomorrow's class will be a very important thing. Instead of theoretical, from tomorrow I am going to show you with a practically how do you create database, how do you create a table in that, how do you write a data inside the table, if something modifications are required, how to change it, if something is not required, how do you delete it. All these operations we gonna perform in tomorrow's session, because as you how much is important is today's session is more important for next coming sessions, alright. So, I am trying to end up the session for today, alright. So, what we have learned today is we have learned about different kind of normal forms, alright. Thank you so much for listening, have a great day, and please share this video if someone is required something on normalizations in a DBMS, alright. By the way, I am Anil Kumar, the trainer of APSSDC.